that we're looking at a cause and effect. And the cause is policies that were working. You can look at the numbers that were coming in, and those policies were thrown away. Migrants listened to the president about granting asylum and all of this stuff, granting, permission to just basically come into the country, and they came and they tested the system. And those who got here made phone calls back home, and the wave of people started. This notion that a migration crisis has occurred and we're responding to it is wrong. We created a migration crisis by creating an incentive for people to come here. We opened our border, people tested it, and they called home, and now more are coming. Not hurricanes, not earthquakes, not changes to our immigration law, not changes to the budget at CBP, not changes to the number of Border Patrol agents. What changed were policies. And it has created a mass migration wave from 160 countries of people coming to the United States. Tragically, the drug cartels have taken advantage of this. They seized on the opportunity to use people, to pay them up to $13 billion, transferred to some of the most heinous people. We've seen the images. We've seen the videos of them burning human corpses they've executed. Yet, we're trying to find, some excuse for this. The cause and the effect is policies and a mass wave and cartels who are manipulating the situation. Add to that the tactics and strategy of the cartel to overwhelm Customs and Border Patrol with mass waves of people, thinning of the line in order to process, frees up the cartels to come right across the border in their carpet shoe wearing backpacks full of fentanyl, and we've seen the piles of the backpacks in Arizona and Texas. The effects. Americans are more unsafe, period. And all you have to do is look at that little baby from France who was visiting the United States, crawling around on a VRBO carpet, and encountered fentanyl left from someone before. And that baby died. How many Americans take their kids to the hotel? How many Americans go to a VRBO and say, you don't know if you're safe? In the United States of America, because of the policies of this administration and this secretary. We know that rapists and murderers have been released, and that's not counting the population of the gotaways. We've got percentages in the folks that have turned themselves in. Why would you be a gotaway, by the way, if if you're just here to get in for economic purposes or even asylum? Why just turn yourself in and you'll get released into the country? Why would you be a gotaway? 1.5 million of them in the United States now. What percentage of that 1.5 million are murderers or rapists or drug dealers or cartel members? Mr. Mayorkas can't answer that question. We're going to have Mr. Mayorkas back here, but no one can answer that question. Americans are unsafe because of this open border. National security, 200 plus terrorists versus 11. That tells you that the terrorists are trying harder and harder to get into this country because they know the policy, that the door is open. National security. This chart is incredible. You look at the past several years, there's not much statistical difference in those years, but suddenly in this year, look at the Chinese nationals pouring into this country. And we have reports from sector chiefs saying they're PLA associated. They're taking a lesson from the Russians who infiltrated Ukraine before they invaded. Now, it's not to say that the Chinese are going to invade the United States, but if we were to defend Taiwan, think about what those people might become. It's interesting to think about, but Mr. Mayorkas can't guarantee us what they are. They're just being released into the United States. That's a national security issue. Migrants separated. We're talking 85,000. I understand the phone call system. That means there were some, whatever the number is, and probably in the thousands. And oh, by the way, the New York Times not known, and in the report, not a Fox News, not a Newsmax, the New York Times went and found some of those people, found they were stacked in homes as much as 20 and were being used in forced labor. Should never happen in America. It happened because Mayorkas's decision, a dereliction of duty as far as I'm concerned, waived the background checks on those individuals. It's unconscionable. It's been discussed, the financial costs too, not just the human costs, an effect. And it will cost us. It is costing us. Your health insurance is going up because of the uncompensated care at the ER, period. Why? Because 7+ million people. Mr. Mayorkas broke the law. We've had witnesses cite the law, read the law, and describe the methodologies which he's either subverting it or breaking. He's refused to abide by at least 2 court orders. Fact. He made it lawful to enter the country in lawful pathways that don't exist in the law. That's breaking the law. That's violating the law. And he clearly lied to Congress. Chip Roy showed him the definition of operational control. He said, yes, according to that definition, we have operational control of the border. And then in the Senate, after Ortiz made his comment, he admitted no one's ever had control by that definition, admitting that he lied when he was in front of the committee with Chip Roy. A Secretary of Homeland Security, a Secretary of any department in our government cannot come to the United States Congress and lie to Congress under oath, period. That is a dereliction of duty. Whether you like the fact that we're helping people who are in need, he lied to Congress. That's unacceptable. And oh, by the way, we went back and searched the record, all the pounding on Mr. Wolf here, which will tell you something. If you're not defending your own guy and just beating up on the witness, maybe you don't have a leg to stand on. But we went back and looked at your record, sir, and we can't find anywhere where you claim to have had operational control. At least you didn't lie. He admitted his own incompetence. In the Senate, he said he did not understand the strategies of the cartels. Now, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, said, yes, that's the strategy of the cartels. The Attorney General gets it. The Secretary of Homeland Security doesn't understand the strategy of the cartel he's been asked to confront to protect Americans. That's admitting incompetence. I want to correct the record on a few things too. Asylum is the heart of our country trying to help people in need. I get it, appropriate. Abuse of asylum laws for a political purpose is wrong. And asylum is not granted to people, if you read the law, just because they're coming from a corrupt government or from a crime-ridden area or poverty. Asylum is granted when a government is pursuing an individual. The UN Charter is very clear. When a refugee is seeking asylum and they go into another country, that country is supposed to take care of them and not pass them on to another country. That's in the United Nations Charter. Why is this happening all over Central America? And why are we accepting that that's okay? We signed the UN Charter, they signed the UN Charter, let's enforce it. There's insinuations that because we want to see the rule of law in place, that we're somehow anti-migrant or anti-charity. When I ran my healthcare company, I built a not-for-profit for a lot of reasons. I wanted to hire physicians to join my company that had a heart to serve people. So we had a not-for-profit, and we paid those doctors expenses so that they could do foreign trips and we could run free clinics. I want to serve people. But the government doesn't get to pick where my charity goes. The government doesn't get to decide that Mark Green's taxpayer dollars are going to go for taking care of maybe I want to give my charity to Gold Star families. The family members of dead Americans who fought for this country. Maybe that's where I want my charity to go. Maybe I, want to plant trees. and save the environment. Best vacuum cleaner for CO2 on the planet is a tree. But I'm having to pay taxes that the president gets to decide where that charity goes? No. Been an accusation today that the GOP has done nothing. We just passed a border security bill that addresses all these issues. Ms. Acer, you said that we shouldn't say that the border is open because it might incentivize more people to come. I think that's what the implication of what you were saying. I couldn't agree more. That's why we're having the migration crisis, is we opened the border. The president said it in his campaign. People come and they call, and now they're coming into the country. I agree, it creates an incentive, and you apparently do too. Immigration is not our committee. Here's another thing. Well, maybe I misunderstood you, but that's what I thought you said. But immigration is not our committee. We don't get to solve the immigration problems. People here today have talked about, hey, we got to fix immigration. I get, yeah, we got to fix immigration, but if you create more of an incentive for people to come, they're going to come. You have to secure the border first. You secure the border, then we'll fix immigration. I couldn't agree more on that. NGOs. Not all NGOs are bad. Not all NGOs are good. There are some that are doing great things, and there are some that are incentivizing the migration that is harming people. And there are some incentivizing people to break the law, and that's just period. And just because you're looking into NGOs, it doesn't mean that you're anti-NGO. It means you want people taken care of appropriately. We've talked about the CBP1 app and the shell game that is. We've been, accused of not addressing other issues like cyber. We have many other subcommittees that are taking actions on cyber and maritime security and other things. That stuff's all going on. You can't make the accusation that we're just here prosecuting Mr. Mayorkas. Congress has both an oversight requirement, an oversight obligation as much as it has a passing laws obligation. And oversighting this crisis is our duty. And we're not going to shirk that duty. And it is revealing that Democrats today spent far more time baselessly attacking Mr. Wolf than defending Secretary Mayorkas and his policies. If you examine the facts, there is no defense for his dereliction of duty. This is just the beginning of a lot of hearings fulfilling that duty for oversight. We will get to the bottom of what's going on at our southern border. We will characterize the costs to the American people, and we will inform them and hopefully inform the president. My hope is that the president is unaware of all this and that maybe he'll do the right thing and fire a guy who has lied to Congress, broken the laws, and facilitated this mass migration that's resulted in the harm both of Americans and of the migrants. I want to thank the witnesses for their valuable testimony today, and all of our members for their questions. As I said at the beginning, we were going to disagree. We did, but that's what this is all about. It's the sausage making, as they say. The members of the subcommittee or the committee may have some additional questions for the witnesses, and we would ask that the witnesses respond to those in writing pursuant to Committee Rule 7D. The hearing record will be held open for 10 days for such purposes. Without objection, the committee stands adjourned.